the Eight Peaks we return. Silver Queen, it's been too long. In these sprawling caverns and yawning chasms deep beneath the earth, one of the longest and most bitter rivalries in modern Warhammer comes home to roost once more. October has begun as Belegar Ironhammer, true king of Clan Angron and the rightful ruler of this realm, faces off against Skarsnik, the squatter king. 2 crowns, 2 conquerors, but this mountain ain't big enough for the both of them, and only one can claim the throne. So here, in the battered halls of the City of Pillars, 6,000 dwarfs and Groby are about to nut each other. The Dawi nutter, Goblin nutter, we all nut down here, but if they're not careful, the Ratman might sweep in and clean up the scraps. The Dawi command center is Belegar Ironhammer and his long-bearded bodyguards, the reckoning of the true king, elite veterans of the Underground War, walking alongside their ancestors from Throny Ironbrow, the ghost of Runesmith's past. Pretty low tier and wide infantry formation here, not a whole lot of elites, and we're seeing some human mercenary cav. Now, if this was a competitive game, I'd vomit in my mouth a little bit, but this is a scenario battle, and I'll buy it. They might purchase some merch to help them reclaim their homeland. They'll be supported by sneaky Black Powder Rangers and some gyrocopters flying overhead. Playing the End Times mod by the Duke, with PD the Power Dragon commanding the Dwarfs of Clan Angron, and the Duke himself controlling the Greenskins. Look what the cat dragged in. The Big Gun showed up to the party once again. With the stilt must feel like he isn't tall enough. Got a bit of a unique approach to getting a better view. Even though we might be in October now, I think the only orc on the map is the Wyvern Rider, cruising on the winds of magic. Other than that, it's all Crooked Moon Goblins and Trolls, and the Colossal Squig sitting in the back. Skarsnik's left flank is formed up with 5 units of Vanguard deployed Night Goblin Fanatics, Logie Bogey Spore Exploders, and the Warlord himself, chilling with Gobla in the rear, ready to unleash some tricksy traps. But it would be wise not to forget about that spooky green glow emanating from the west side of this mountain pass. There's chittering down in the deeps. They are coming. And so are you after that intro. My god. That's one way to get a battle popping off, right? That's what I do, baby. That's what I do. We got gyrocopters opening it up now. Thwapa overhead on a bit of a scouting mission here in the depths of Vala Azrulongol. Ready to steam some mushrooms up nice and proper. They have a big role to play in this one, because the goblins are largely lacking armor and they're all densely packed, which means steam guns cook them up real fast. Incredible for clearing lightly armored chaff from the safety of the skies. The Duke unleashing the first of what I'd imagine will be many waves of fanatics this battle, fishing for that 720 no-scope at the end of Ball and Chain, but it's a negative Ghost Rider. Fire mission ineffective, and here comes the Cav. Should be very interesting to see how they perform in this one. They should feast, but that's a lot of gobos, and a well-placed loon could mess them up pretty bad. Looks like that killed 2 or 3 models at least, and does a lot of AP damage as well. We'll check back on this engagement in a bit, but that friendly fire, well, it'll kill some gobos, but it might kill some Merc Cav as well. On the other side, we've got some gyrocopters coming in with the steam guns, and I'm going to be very excited to see how they do this battle. I imagine their kill counts will skyrocket into the stratosphere, which is just how I like it. Hard to see exactly what you're shooting at from the sky, but the breakdown's pretty simple. Anyone who runs is a gobbo. Anyone who stands still is Grom the Punch. But how can you shoot hag trolls and snotlings? Easy. You just don't lead them so much. Ain't war hell. Goblins torn asunder under the withering salvos from these gyrocopter steam guns, and they're not going to be around for too long. Warlord boys, yeah, they're going to be dead real quick. So will the 8 Peak Loonies, and those were some amazing volleys to start. Already, across the line, things are opening up. Dwarfs are committed on their right flank. Goblins in the center pushing, and the Giant Slayers and Belegar Ironhammer moving into the middle of this formation under a withering salvo from the Goblin Archers, who shouldn't do a whole lot of damage to the front line, but to the Giant Slayers, they might represent more of a threat. Might be a good idea to leave the Slayers in reserve for now. Don't have great targets to smack around with their axes yet. Rogue Idol's safe behind a wall of 3,000 screaming gobos, and the Trolls are elsewhere, fighting far to the east on the Crooked Moon's right flank. But Belegar, making his ancestors proud, looking to strike some grudges from the book this day, and as a leadership bastion, alongside the rock-steady hand of Throny Ironbrow's ghost, Dwarf infantry imbued with a juicy ward save, and armor from the Rune of Oath and Steel, rallying to their lord as they try to cut through their way to Skarsnik. Flame Cannon has the potential to rain fiery hell down from above this battle, but not like this. Not like this. That Wyvern Rider has a clear shot directly at the cannon crew, and there's nothing in reserve to protect it. Wyvern Rider going to swoop in for the kill. We'll see how that goes in a second. On this side, Forest Goblin Spider Riders and a few more regiments of renown for the Crooked Moon tribe hiding in the back of the map, having a bit of a cookout around that roaring fire. Don't really know what they're doing back there, but hey, if they get some nice marshmallows out of it, I guess it's all right. And over on this side, looks like the Dwarfs have put a ton of infantry into breaking the Night Goblin Fanatic left flank. If they can do so and wrap around the pillar, they could get into the rear and maybe shut down those Goblin Rock Lobbers for good. Meanwhile, Trolls dealing with the Miners, but the Giant Slayers have pushed up, and this could get super interesting. Miners are not having a fantastic time. Getting your head bashed in by a troll is not an amazing experience. The Giant Slayers will come in to reinforce, and quickly, those armor-piercing opponents with large axes will reap a terrible toll amongst those trolls. Good focus fire coming in on the Wyvern Rider, and the Ulthar's Rangers are nearby. They're marked by Ulthar. Could play a huge factor as they try to snipe it out. Meanwhile, Colossal Squig snacking on some stunty Grudge Gnomes. Looks like the Dwarfs are winning in the center, although they still have to worry about that Rogue Idol. Their infantry is certainly grinding through the Crooked Moon tribe pretty quick here. With the help of the Slayers, they've actually pushed all the way through, but now they have to deal with a 15,000 HP behemoth that has like 1,000 weapon strength. That's never an easy thing. Yeah, here it comes. The belly flop of the gods about to drop down on the Giant Slayers' heads. And the big question I have for the Dwarfs this battle, and it's not unlike what we had in the replay the other day, do the Dwarfs have what it takes to take down Debigun, to take down 150 armor and all that HP? They have not invested a lot in artillery or thunderers or armor piercing. It's great for single entity monsters. Yes, marked by Ulthar did wreck that Wyvern Rider, but they lost their flame cannon, which is probably a good trade overall for the Greenskins. Purple Sun of Xerius from the River Hag Troll going off in the background, and Giant Spiders charging in. Not a unit you see in vanilla. I'll be curious to see how they do here. We've got about 5 kills or so off the charge, and they will do their best to push through the Dwarf infantry and get at the squishier stuff in the rear. Full surround off on the Colossal Squig. Thing will probably die pretty soon here. Not a lot of HP left, and it does explode when it dies. Here comes Skarsnik, and here comes an extremely important duel. The entire battle could hinge on this very moment, especially for the Greenskins. If they lose Skarsnik early, their leadership will not hold up particularly well. They will get that +4 map-wide global passive from the Rogue Idol of Gork and possibly more. Colossal Squig just exploded and killed a bunch of the elite Longbeard bodyguards of Belegar Ironhammer. But yeah, Skarsnik is getting pounded on. And overall, I'd say the Crooked Moon tribe, if you go full Gobbo, honestly, I'd say, generally speaking, never go full Gobbo, and they haven't here. They do have the Rogue Idol, but it can be dangerous, because when you lose your Lord, and Skarsnik just lost that duel handily with a rear charge coming in from Throny Ironbrow, well, the Greenskins, especially their Goblin units, they have leadership problems. And when you're dealing with a terror-causing ghost and all the gyrocopter firepower from the heavens, that could get bad for the Goblins pretty quick. Trolls have not disengaged from these Slayers, and that means it will be their doom, I would think. Yeah, they're getting taken to Pound Town over there. Rogue Idol is pretty much untouched at this point, throwing haymakers and dropping bows. Skarsnik is 2 or 3 hits from death. Throny Ironbrow, Belegar Ironhammer, gooning up on him, and Skarsnik looks like he's going to make almost no impact on this battle whatsoever. All that hype in the intro, and Skarsnik rolling over and playing dead. He's gone. He's just gonna run off the map. There's no real ways to come back here. Marked by Ulthar on the Rogue Idol, beating up on some Corlers, which is probably not the ideal place for them to be, but they've actually fired most of their ammunition, so at the end of the day, not really a big deal. But the Dwarfs need to focus on Debigun at this point, or that thing will run train like we saw in the other replay. The Quarrelers, the Gyros, Belegar, Throny, everybody, get them over to that Rogue Idol and finish it off while it's isolated, because if you can't do so, it's just gonna kill all this infantry again. We've seen it happen before. The Wyvern Rider came back trying to goon out the Master Engineer, but you know what? I think that this hero might be able to sustain himself in melee. The Wyvern Rider is kind of a mid-tier unit. It's actually not that strong. It's not like an Orc War Boss on a Wyvern. It's only like 950 gold, and it broke off. Yeah, not particularly high melee defense for the End Times mod. Remember, the stats are completely different in this mod compared to vanilla. And I should have already pointed it out, my bad for not doing so, but there's one massive change for Dwarf compared to the base game, and for other rogue idols as well. They are constructs, so they crumble. They do not rout. So the best chance they have for killing this thing now, the Dwarf set is to pull everything back to the center of this gorgeous custom battle map created by Badger and let loose with every single tool they have left, which, to be fair, is not a whole lot for either side at this point. It's been quick and it's been bloody. Aspect of the Dread Knight popped down on the gigantic spider swarming over the top of the shield wall phalanx. Trolls coming in for the rear charge from behind, and the infantry that's been committed here in the center really not looking super healthy at this point. But there are some Quarrelers, there are a few Black Powder Rangers left, and Belegar Ironhammer is still hanging out in the back of the map. I'd like to see that River Troll Hag sniped out by the Master Engineer, but he's focusing down the Rogue Idol at this point, which, to be fair, is probably a much bigger threat. And here we have Belegar Ironhammer and some gyrocopters crushing, sweeping up the trash after routing Skarsnik from the field on this side. The Dwarfs of Clan Angron have won the majority of their engagements on the periphery, but in the center where this Rogue Idol treads, they've had more issues. And that map-wide leadership bonus from the Rogue Idol Mork and possibly Gork has certainly helped here after losing their lord in a pretty one-sided duel. I mean, Skarsnik got pooped on. It wasn't even close, and Throny Ironbrow coming in with the People's Elbow from behind and the Terror Route didn't make things any easier for the Warlord of Eight Peaks. River Troll Hag getting shot up by the Master Engineer, but she's regenning this whole time, so we might see her again. But if the Engineer can keep some pressure up on her, one or two more shots might be enough to finish her off for good. Gyrocopter and Belegar are coming back. The Reckoning of the True King, full surround off on the Rogue Idol, but it still has a massive amount of HP left. 120 armor, more than 1,000 weapon strength. Dealing with it is going to be an extremely difficult proposition, especially considering what the Dwarfs have left. Balance bar is a little bit in favor of the Greenskins at the moment. Looking at the tools the Dwarfs have, they have Throny, they have Belegar, they have some armor piercing left on the field and some shots from the Master Engineer, but the Trolls have surrounded him. He won't be able to fire for a while, and I don't think he's able to kill off those Trolls by himself. Belegar might want to go over and finish off the Trolls before they deal with the Rogue Idol at this point. You need that armor piercing, you need that range DPS against this Rogue Idol to bring it down finally. Marked by Ulthar will certainly help, but the biggest issue the Dwarfs have now, the gigantic spiders are still alive. And they have the poison, they have the speed, they have the maneuverability to shut down all the remaining range play for the Dwarfs, and that might be the final nail in their coffin. The Rogue Idol is actually starting to drop pretty quick, but now that the poison ward save is in melee, Belegar surrounded by gigantic spiders, it's going to be even more difficult to put down that DPS that's required to bring down such a behemoth. River Troll Hag did come back, the regen killing the Dwarfs at the moment, and these Longbeards, they won't be able to finish off these Trolls either. It's looking like a dark day, a red day for the Dawi of Clan Angron, clubbed and smashed apart by a massive wall. They've made good account of themselves. They've struck many grudges from the book, but many more have been entered in the Damaz Kron, and they have quite literally run out of steam. And at this point, I just don't think they have the tools required to deal with the greenskin units that remain. Once again, the Rogue Idol pick has caught the Dwarfs completely flat-footed, who were not prepared to deal with 150 armor and like 18,000 HP, which is a shame because they're one of the best factions in the game for quickly destroying it. The Dwarf players invest in cannons, in thunderers, in armor-piercing options that allow you to kill big monsters. Slayers are not going to cut it by themselves. They take too much damage from everything else. And Quarrelers are useful. You had plenty of them here, but you would need like 4 or 5 of them, and marked by Ulthar to do more than scratch that rock-hard exoskeleton. And it's a bit unrealistic in a 40-unit cat battle to expect you'll be able to protect your Quarrelers for that long and just have unfettered access for shooting into the big gun. It didn't happen this game. Balance bar swinging ever more in favor of the Greenskins. Belegar and Throny Ironbrow with the surround off on the Rogue Idol, but it will be the end for Belegar and Clan Angron here. Skarsnik might be at 1 HP, licking his wounds somewhere off map, but he is the new ruler of Karak 8 Peaks for now. Belegar should be able to escape, but it was a dark day indeed for the Dawi. Very thematic and immersive scenario battle, though. I absolutely adore that kind of content. I think it's just so much fun to put together, so much fun to watch. The custom maps are a huge deal for any one of these. They kind of put you in a new spot that you're not used to seeing, and Karak 8 Peaks, for some reason, has been kind of overlooked. I'm very surprised, honestly, there hasn't been a Karak 8 Peaks siege map or a free-for-all map. I would love to get a Skaven, Belegar, and Skarsnik three-way war for the 8 Peaks in a free-for-all scenario. I think that'd be amazing. That's probably the dream. But here, in a 1v1 between Belegar and Skarsnik, the Greenskins prove the better faction today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Indie Pride, signing out for now.